Okay. So, once again, very good afternoon to one and all. Okay. So, in the last lecture, we have taken the overview of the risk and CISC architecture. Okay. Am I right? And now we are about to start with the risk and CISC difference. Am I correct? What was the last point that we have compiled? Anybody? Am I audible properly? Can anybody reply? Hello? Can anybody reply? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what was the last topic that we have taken in a class?
And x86 architecture.
Yes. Okay. So we will start with the next now. Okay. So we were at this particular point. Risk and CISC. Okay. Risk versus CISC. Okay. Is this screen visible? I hope this screen is visible. Okay. So yes, we will start with the today's session. Okay. So what is the long form of CISC and what is the long form of risk? Anybody? Anybody who has written last time what is the long form of risk and CISC? Okay. Anyways, instead of wasting time, I will tell you. Okay. But I expect the answers from you people because your class is so quiet. Okay. You never ask the questions. Even you never participate. You are up till now. This is the third week of teaching learning. You people are not that much interactive in the class. So I want you to interact more with the contents whatever we are learning. Okay, I want you to ask the questions if you have any questions, because only in two scenarios you don't have questions. The first scenario is when you understood everything and really you don't have any problems, and second one is you didn't understand a single word, so you don't have any questions in your mind. So I hope I'm going with the first scenario and not with the second. Otherwise, you people may talk to me regarding the understanding or what kind of understanding you people are getting or not. So I'm heavily concerned with the level of understanding you people are going through. I hope I am very much clear and I am very much loud to make you understand the concepts which we are learning under the computer organizations. Okay, am I right? Am I right? Please tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Chalo. So CISC is the complex instruction set computer, okay, while RISC is the reduced instruction set of computers, okay. Now in both of these, if you see, those are following the standards of ISA, International Standard of ISA, International Standard of um, what is A stands for now? I forgot. Okay. Uh, ISA is nothing but International Standard uh, in architecture or something. It is like that. Okay. I will try to
Ma'am, it's
remember.
architecture.
Yes, so I'm correct. Architecture. Okay. So it's International Standard of Architecture. This CISC and RISC actually both are following those architectures, those standards. Actually, for every organization to meet the quality, the organizations has to follow some standard. Even our organization VIT is also following some of the ISO standards, because It gives the quality to the procedures. It gives some kind of structure to the whatever policies we are following or whatever the things we are achieving through. So that is nothing but the standard which has to be followed by everyone. Okay. So here, uh, the most of the popular thing is the microprocessor, and microprocessor actually follows this ISA. So CISC is the one original microprocessor, okay, where this CISC has been redesigned somewhat manner, and it has been emerged as a risk. CISC itself has emerged as a risk in 1980s. Okay, then in CISC, this is completely what I can say hardware centric, and risk is the software centric. CISC is having several. It takes several clock cycles to complete one instruction, while RISC completes in a single cycle instruction. Okay, what is the one cycle instruction? Actually, in pipelining we have seen, okay, instruction pipelining we have seen, in one cycle one instruction will be get executed. So that is something risk architecture that every one of us is following, because we are more software centric, we are less hardware centric. So that is the risk and risk major difference between that. So risk is having more concern with the software steps that everyone is following. Okay. So here we are actually having the burden of coding, where in hardware they don't have any burden, but they have the hardware circuitry. So this is completely a dependent and independent part. Okay. Then here in CISC, they are having efficient use of RAM, okay, for performing the risk architecture. Where in risk they are having the heavy use of the RAM. So here, because of if the RAM is less, then at that time it creates the bottleneck. Okay, so that's the problem. Then here it is having the complex and variable length instruction, while in risk they have the simple and standardized instructions. Okay. Here it supports microcode. Here it supports only one layer of instructions, so there is no microprogramming available at the risk. So only one layer of programming is available here. We can have the n number of layers in the microprogramming. Then here in CISC complex instruction, we require the large number of instructions to perform any operation. While in a risk, we require the small number of fixed length instructions. Okay, we have the small instructions and which are of the fixed length. Whereas here we don't have the fixed length. Here we have the variable length instruction, where here we are having the fixed length instructions. Okay, and addressing modes, here compound addressing mode and limited addressing mode. Now what are the addressing modes and what are the syntaxes of it, that we will be going to study in the next upcoming slide. So this is an overall difference between the what I can say risk and the CISC. Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry, there was some disturbance at my end. Yes, now we will move for the evaluation of Intel x86 architecture. Now actually we have started with this architecture. Here, one thing we can observe is x86 architecture is a very common architecture, and still we are using this 86 kind of architecture in most of the computers. Okay, this architecture is used to design the microprocessor. Okay, it has been used to design the microprocessor. So, microprocessor is, I can say, is the heart of any computer machine. Okay, so if microprocessor is having good design, compact in nature, integrated circuit, and high speed, then definitely that machine is going to create a high impact in performance. So we will be starting with the 8086 architecture. Okay, this is 8086 architecture. This is the first purpose microprocessor. Okay, first purpose means it has been used for the personal computer. Okay, It is 8-bit machine. It is 8-bit machine and having a data path to memory, 8-bit data path, and name of it is Altair. Okay, name of this 8086 is Altair. Next one is 8086. Okay, this is the second generation 8086. It is more powerful as compared to 8080. As 8080 is 8-bit, this 8086 is 16-bit machine. Okay, and as compared to this, it has only 8-bit data path to memory. Here we are having a wider data paths as well as the registers. Okay, data paths as well as the registers, and it supports, okay, it supports the instruction queue. Okay, it supports the instruction queue or the cache. Why instruction queue? Because it can able to prefetch the instruction before they are getting executed. That means they can form a queue. Whatever is the processing next, that queue has to be get formed with this 8086. Because of that, it is more powerful as compared to 8080. It is 16-bit and it is having wider data paths. So because of that, it can able to have the cache or queue, which can able to prefetch. Okay, which can be able to prefetch the contents. Okay, so that's the one thing. Now secondly, sorry, third is what you can say is the 80286. Okay, it has also an extension of this 86. It is extension of 86 having addressing of a 16-bit megabyte instead of just 1 megabyte. It's a simple extension. Whatever 8086 can do, the same operations 80286 can do. Only some addressing has been get increased. 80386. Next, fourth. As compared to this above three, okay, as compared to this above three, this 386 is something 32-bit machine. Okay, it is 32-bit machine and it has been majorly used in the mini computers and mainframes. Okay, and this is the first machine which supports the multitasking. Okay, this is the first machine which supports the multitasking. Okay, so this is the fourth kind of architecture. Now this is fifth. Fifth is something after 386, 86, 286, 386, now 486. Okay, it is having more powerful cache technology. Okay, and it is having the built-in math coprocessor which can do the more complex arithmetic operations. Okay, more complex arithmetic maths operation because of the cache technology. Because whenever you are performing some mathematical operations, so at that time you need to have some storage space. Whenever carry will be get generated, whenever you need to add some bits, at that time it is very much essential to have the cache memory. So this 486 is actually providing us the what I can say a cache memory technology, because of which this built-in math coprocessor can do the overloading operations. Okay, for the mathematics. Next comes into the picture the Pentium. Okay, Pentium is the one of the Intel introduced processor which is having a superscalar techniques. Okay, it is having the superscalar techniques and it allows multiple instructions to execute in parallel. So multiple instructions can execute in parallel. So that is something called as, here I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise n number of instructions can be get executed in parallel, and this is called as the, that is superscalar technique which is available in Pentium. Okay, that's the thing. Pentium Pro. Pentium Pro is the seventh kind of generation. It has also a superscalar techniques inside it, but it has the aggressive use of the register renaming, branch prediction, data flow analysis, and speculative execution. Okay. If you remember, these 4 points are from the, from what? Where we have studied this branch prediction, data flow analysis, and speculative execution. Microprocessor feed. If you remember this, We have already studied it. This microprocessor speed. Okay, branch prediction, data flow analysis, speculative execution. Okay, this we have already completed. So that actually matters in the microprocessor design. So here we are actually learning with the design parts. Yes or no? So this is Pentium Pro, which is having this microprocessor speed parameters, renaming, branch prediction, data flow analysis, and speculative execution. Okay, now comes into the picture Pentium 2. This is the Pentium 2. Okay, it is having MMX technology. What is this MMX can do? It can pre-process the video, audio, and graphics. Okay, it can pre-process the video, audio, and graphics data very efficiently. So this is the Pentium 2 architecture. See, here we are only studying the evaluation. We are not going to go into the detail of it, but we are only studying the evaluation. What are the next generations can able to do which the previous cannot do. Okay. Then ninth one is the Pentium 3. Okay. So Pentium 3 it incorporates additional floating point instructions to support the 3D graphics software. Okay, it has 3D graphics installed in Pentium 3. In Pentium 4, they have the enhanced multimedia options. Okay, and in core, actually there is one concept behind this core. Okay, dual core and core to duo. So I am telling you first of all dual core. So this is the processor. Okay, in this processor, this is processor 1 and this is processor 2. Okay, so dual means this dual means 2. So this is the 1 and this is the 2. Okay, so this 11 is referring to this particular dual core architecture where it implements the two processors on a single chip. So this is the single chip. Okay, where two processors are involved. So this is processor 1 and this is processor 2. But in core 2, okay, this one is 32-bit, but this core 2 is 64-bit machine. Okay, this is 64-bit machine where it is having quad processors into it. So this is the processor 1. Okay, this is the processor 2, and these two processors are again having processor 1 and processor 2. Quad means 4. Okay, so this outer layer is something called as the chip. Okay, this outer layer is something we call it as a chip. This is the processor 1 and this is the processor 2. This is the processor 1, this is the processor 2. Okay, and inside this processor, this is the quad 1, this is the quad 2, 3 and 4. So it has, if you compare this with this, so it is 32 versus 64. That means this core 2 is having the maximum speed, okay, as compared to single dual core. Okay, so this is all about the evaluation of the Intel in x86 architecture. Okay, you clear with it, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now this embedded is actually I'm excluding this because on this you don't have any questions and even it is not there in your syllabus. So I'm just excluding it. Yes. Now we have moved on to the last part of the computer components. Okay. As you can see this diagram, computer components are divided into three parts: input devices, output devices, and central processing unit. Okay. Under the central processing unit, what are the special subparts? Control unit, ALU unit, and memory unit. Control unit will generate control signals. ALU unit will generate the arithmetic and logical operations. It can do that. Memory unit is going to give you the space for storing the contents. Okay, and then input output device. If you see this now, okay, this CPU, this is the control unit, ALU and registers. Okay, this registers along with this main memory is something the input, sorry, memory unit. This all things has been connected with each other with this particular bus. Okay, this is called as the bus. Here inside this bus there are two different buses. One is instruction bus, okay, and other is data bus. Instruction bus carries instructions while data bus carries the data. And if you see this, these are the input devices. Keyboard, okay, this is the keyboard, which are the input devices. Display and printer, these are the output devices. So from here, I can give the inputs to the bus. From here, I can display the inputs to the outer side. Okay, and here these are the two-way communications. Okay, so from CPU to bus and from bus to the CPU. Can anybody tell me what is the secondary memory, what is the main memory? What is the secondary memory?
It is storage, hard drive, pen drive, etc.
Yes, so it's a hard drive, pen drive. So it is a non-volatile memory, while main memory is the, sometimes it is the volatile memory. Okay, in computer we are having whatever is the main memory is the volatile memory, because we cannot save the contents to permanently. That is why we have to boot daily whenever we will start with the computer. Computer itself don't have its own main memory. That means memory to store the things. So that is why uh, we have to have the hard disk to our machine to save the contents on permanent basis. So that is why here what we require is to boot the laptop on daily basis, because on daily basis it is going to restart the kernel files. Okay, and these are the registers under the CPU. These are the registers. So we have already studied these registers in the ISA architecture. Okay, so MAR, MBR, memory address register, memory buffer register, etc., are the different files that we are going to actually study. Okay, yes, these are those files. Program counter, then what you can say is information retrieval. Okay, sorry, instruction register, not information retrieval. Okay, so instruction register, program counter, memory address register, memory buffer register, input output address register, input output buffer register. So these are the files that we have already seen what these registers do. Okay, what these registers do, that we have already completed. Buffer is there to store the, oh, sorry, to store the uh, temporary storage. To have the temporary storage, buffers are there. All these CPU along with registers has been connected with this bus to this main memory. If you see this is the instruction and this is the data part. So here we are just following the instructions and here we are just following the data. So data and instructions do not follow from the same path. Okay, they don't follow the same path. This is the top level view of computer components. Okay, this is the top level view of computer components. Yes. Now we have moved to a very important point of this particular unit, which consists of the basic instruction cycle. Okay. Uh, Whenever you are writing some program inside your memory unit, we are actually following some of the specific sequence of the instructions. Okay, and these sequences are fixed. So what is that sequence? The first sequence is whenever program will be get loaded into the main memory. So first thing is to fetch that instruction which has been loaded. Second thing is decode the meaning of that instruction. Third one is read the effective address of that instruction. And fourth one is then execute the instruction. ऐसा नहीं है, और ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे भी हम लोगों ने मेमोरी में लोड कर लिया उसने डायरेक्टली उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर लिया. No, there is always one particular cycle which has been get followed, and this is that cycle where CPU is following, fetching the instruction, decoding the instruction, reading the address of the instruction, execute the instruction. When execution has been getting completed, start fetching new instruction. So here cycle 1 completed. Then again fetching second instruction, decode it, read the address, execute the instruction, come to fetch new instruction. So second cycle completed. Likewise, n number of cycles will be get completed. So this is called as the instruction cycle, and this is continuously repeated by the CPU to boot up from boot up to shut down of the computer. Okay, from as soon as you switch on your laptop, from that time onwards up to the shutdown of the computer, this instruction cycle will go on execute. Whatever activities you will perform on the computer, each of the activity will be get recognized. Okay, even if you do some mouse click, that is also the event will be get generated. For that event, signals will be get generated. When signals will be get generated, at that time, instruction will be get executed. So this is the basic instruction cycle that every CPU is repeating. This process is getting repeated every time. Okay. Okay, so we have seen the basic instruction cycle. I have told you what has been happened into it. Okay, so IR is nothing but the instruction register. Okay, so fetch instruction is loaded into the register. Okay, okay. Then AC single data register is called as the AC. Okay, these things you just have to remember. What is the IR? What is the AC? Okay, what is IR? What is AC? Okay, then actions, which actions it does in four categories. First action, processor to memory. Data may transfer from processor to memory or memory to processor. Even you can have the data which will be get transferred between processor to input output devices to processor. I have told you this thing while explaining the architecture. Then arithmetic logic operations unit will do the arithmetic and logical operations, and control unit will actually execute the instructions which has been they get executed with the help of an program counter. Okay. Up to this point, any problem? Any problem up to this point?
No, ma'am.
Okay. This is the computer instruction. Actually, how computer saves the instructions. Okay. How the opcode will be get generated. How the address of the operand will be get find. That is the format. Which format actually computer is following. This is the format. Mode, opcode, and operand. Okay. Computer instructions are nothing but the set of machine language instructions. Okay. Your computer only understands the machine language and only executes the machine language. So this is the format which converts your instruction into machine language. Okay. So it consists of the first is operation, that is opcode. What is the opcode? So opcode is nothing but the field which specifies the operation to be performed. Okay. Then here address field. This address field contains the location of the operand, that is in memory or in register where that particular instruction is located. And mode field, this particular third is called as the mode field. This mode field specifies how operand will be get located. So when we will go ahead, you will come to know what is the mode of the instruction. Okay. So here, actually, some of the operations will be get performed with the memory and the CPU with the help of program counter, AC is accumulator, okay, and instruction register. So if you see this first, Okay, if you see this first, 1 minute, where is my pointer? Yes, go to this first block at 300, you have 1940. Okay, it is in the main memory. From main memory, it has been get shifted to the CPU registers. So in CPU, what many registers you are having? CPU is having how many registers? CPU is having program counter, instruction register, execution unit, memory address, memory buffer, and input output register. Okay. So this 1940 will be get transferred to this instruction register, and there here it will be get performed. Okay, here it will be get performed. Now after this, if your program counter is at 300, after this your program counter is at 301. If you go one by one, you will just find out that this content has been get shifted over here, and here this content has been get added at the 940. Okay, this is the step 2. Then at step 3, what happens? Okay, 5941. Okay, 5941. That means here second things has been get added. So here what I wanted to know you that there is only a transfer of data from main memory to the CPU registers, okay, for performing the operations. And one by one, it will go from 300 to 941. Okay, from one by one, it will go to 300 to 941. Here they have just provided how the contents will be get shifted down, down, down with this AC and instruction register. So there is nothing much to invest your head into it. Okay, this is the instruction cycle state diagram. Okay, this is the instruction cycle state diagram. In this state diagram, if you see, the instructions has been fetched. Okay, instruction has been fetched over here. Before that, instruction address calculation will be get performed. Okay, then after this, after fetching the instruction, it has been came for instruction operation decoding. So second stage is instruction fetch. After fetch, it is decoding. After decoding, address will be get retrieve over here. After getting the address, the operand will be get fetched here. If there are multiple operands, that will be get fetched likewise. So it will go like this, like this, like this. After this fetch, it will go for the data operation. When data will be get performed, that means when instruction will be get performed, again address will be get calculated to store it. Okay, if there are multiple operands, so I require the multiple memory space to store it. And at the end, it will be just going to give the string to this particular address calculation as well as to this particular instruction fetching. So next instruction will be get fetched. For that next instruction, again address will be get fetched and instruction opcode will be get fetched. And that is the instruction cycle state diagram. So here only the what is extra? Extra is something address calculation, nothing else. Okay. So it's as simple as that. Whatever I have told you just now, the same has been explained over here. Okay. Just 1 minute. Huh? Yes. Okay. Now, shall we move for next concept, interrupt, or do you have any problem? I want answer from others also.
No problem, ma'am.
Yes, but what about others?
No problem, ma'am.
No problem,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay. So we will move for the next one is interrupts. Okay, interrupts. Interrupt is what? Okay, I will tell you one example of interrupt first. See this. Are you able to see this guy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, with this guy, suppose he is watching some YouTube video. Okay. Some important video he is watching. And during the watching, if there are multiple ads came in between, what will be his reaction to the ads? or even if you go to the movie theater to watch some new movie, okay, and in between movie if there are n number of ads in between, what you will feel? Disturbed, yes or no?
Skip.
So interrupts are nothing but the, what I can say, handling a disturbances, okay, handling a disturbances. Now I will come to the point, okay. Even I will tell you one thing. Even if you are doing some work and if there are some obstacles in between, okay, that is called as the interrupt. But here we are actually putting the interrupt for system handling purpose. And एग्जाम मूवी में तो हमें बिना पूछे इंटरप्ट डाल देते हैं, वो बिना पूछे डिस्टरबेंस कर देते हैं. बट हियर इन प्रोग्रामिंग एक्चुअली वी आर जनरेटिंग द इंटरप्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने कोई फॉर लूप लिख लिया है, ठीक है. जब मैंने फॉर लूप लिखा तो वहां पे समथिंग, वहां पे मैं कुछ डिवाइडेशन कर रही हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 4/0, ओके. 4/0. So what is the answer? What is 4/0?
Infinity.
Yes. तो अगर आपका प्रोग्राम इंफिनिटी में चला जाए तो आपको क्या करना पड़ता है? कंट्रोल ब्रेक.
We have to stop it.
Yes. You have to do the control break. Yes or no? सो ये कंट्रोल ब्रेक क्या करता है? मैन्युअली हम वो इंफिनिटी के लूप को क्लोज करते हैं या फिर ब्रेक करते हैं. बट मेनी ऑफ द टाइम्स इन सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोग्राम्स अगर आपको ऐसे व्हाट आई कैन से अनसुपरवाइज्ड तरीके से अगर आपको लूप में से क्लोज करना पड़े तो इट्स नॉट द गुड प्रोग्रामिंग, है ना. So for that purpose, we need to write some try and catch loop. That means we need to write some interrupts, okay, by which we can handle. तो अगर 4/0 आ गया तो it will print a message. What is the message? Message is divide by 0 is an infinity loop. So I am breaking the loop. अगर मैंने ये मैसेज डाल दिया तो it will be a good programming where you will come to know that there is a error which has been get generated which may take my program to the level where it can go into the infinity loop. So because of that, now handling such request in a programming manner is called as the interrupt. So there are two types of interrupts. One is hardware interrupt, another is software interrupt. So interrupt is something, the alert that the processor is giving on high priority, okay, in the executing state. So hardware interrupt is something, it is used by the devices to communicate that they require attention from the operating system. So here अगर कुछ कीबोर्ड का प्रॉब्लम आ गया, माउस का प्रॉब्लम आ गया, या फिर आपका मदरबोर्ड में जब मदरबोर्ड ऑन करते तो उसका ग्रीन सिग्नल आता है एक्चुअली इनसाइड द सीपीयू, अगर आपने कभी देखा हो तो, ओके. बट इंस्टेड ऑफ ग्रीन इफ द सिग्नल टर्न्स आउट टू बी रेड, light turns out to be red, so it shows that there is some hardware problem on your keyboard, sorry, motherboard. And for that hardware problem, some message will be get printed by the operating system. So here when hardware interrupts will be get generated, we require the concern from the operating system, okay. While in software interrupts, what happens with respect to the processor clock, actually some interrupts will be get generated. तो वो हम इंटरप्ट हम लोग वाइल हम प्रोग्राम जब लिखते हैं उसी वक्त हम उस इंटरप्ट को लिख सकते हैं, उसी इंस्ट्रक्शंस में, उसी सेट ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन में वी कैन एबल टू मेक द कोडिंग फॉर इट, ओके. यहाँ पे देखिए अभी, ठीक है, दिस इज द प्रोग्राम फ्लो, ओके. जब मैं यहाँ पे आती हूँ इंस्ट्रक्शन नंबर 4 पे, इंस्ट्रक्शन 1 से लेके 2 पे आई, 2 से 3 पे आई, 3 से 4 पे आई, लेकिन 4 में यहाँ पे कुछ इंटरप्ट आ गया है, ओके. तो इंटरप्ट आने के बाद ये जो मेरा पॉइंटर है, प्रोग्राम पॉइंटर, इट हैज स्टार्टेड मूविंग टू दिस इंटरप्ट इंस्ट्रक्शन. तो ये अलग अलग पॉइंटर चलने लगा है और ये अलग पॉइंटर ये इंटरप्ट रूटीन एग्जीक्यूट कर रहा है वहां पे ये इंटरप्ट के 4 इंस्ट्रक्शन इसने प्रोसेस कर लिए, उसके बाद में इट विल स्टार्टेड मूविंग फॉर अगेन टू द प्रीवियस प्रोग्राम, और यहाँ से उसने 5 से फिर से चालू किया, 5, 6, 7 एंड 8. So during the program execution flow, if some interrupt occur and if the program counter moves for that interrupt and get it executed and again will start executing the previous program, so this is called as the interrupt handling. Okay, this is called as the interrupt handling. Okay, ये देखिए प्रोग्राम फ्लो विथ नो इंटरप्ट एंड विथ इंटरप्ट. तो अगर मैं ये प्रोग्राम फ्लो देख रही हूँ, यहाँ पे इंस्ट्रक्शन 1 एग्जीक्यूट हो गया, इंस्ट्रक्शन यहाँ पे आ गया, यहाँ पे इनपुट आउटपुट कमांड्स को 5, 6 एग्जीक्यूट हो गया, फिर से 2, 3 राइट 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 हो गया, यहाँ पे कोई इंटरप्ट नहीं है. लेकिन अगर आपने यहाँ पे देखा कि यहाँ पे कुछ तो विथ इंटरप्ट में अगर आपने देखा कि यहाँ पे कुछ इनपुट आउटपुट प्रोग्राम है, तो उसके लिए हियर आई विल बी राइटिंग दिस इंटरप्ट हैंडलर प्रोग्राम. Here I am going to end the handler and then handler will again go for this instruction 3 and 4 and 5. So here exclusively I have written this software interrupt over here to handle whatever the things has been going to happen inside this 4. तो यहाँ पे 4 हो रहा है, 5 हो रहा है, लेकिन 5 के बाद यहाँ पे यहाँ जाने में I have to explicitly write a code to go from 5 to 2 again. So that is the programming with no interrupt. Or programming with interrupt में I have to write the interrupt handler routine over here explicitly. Okay, so that is the difference between interrupt and without interrupt. Okay, तो ये मैंने आपको बता दिया. कोई भी वीडियो, कोई भी चीज अगर आप बिना रुकावट देखे, बिना रुकावट खाए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपकी कोई मनपसंद डिश आपके मम्मा ने बनाई हो और आपको इंटरप्ट इंटरप्ट में अगर वो खाने को मिले तो आपका इंटरेस्ट चला जाएगा. इसके वजह से the things must be without an interrupt. So that is the main point. Okay, now only the last point is remaining, that is the interconnection structure that we will take in a next lecture. Because या फिर ऐसा हो जाए ना कहीं कि एक दिन में बहुत ज्यादा हो जाए सब कुछ. ठीक है, so that's the very important thing. Okay, yes. Now any problem in today's lecture, कोई प्रॉब्लम, कोई स्टेटमेंट या फिर कोई पॉइंट आपको समझ में नहीं आया हो, यू वांट मी टू रिपीट इट समथिंग, और सब समझ में आ गया. Anyone having any problem?
No, ma'am.
ओके, so एक तो मैं बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाती हूँ या फिर आप बहुत इंटेलिजेंट हो?
दोनों मैम.
दोनों है. ओके, अच्छी बात है. चलो, अगर मुझे इतने कम एफर्ट्स में आपके जैसे अच्छे स्टूडेंट्स मिल रहे हो, तो आई एम द लकी पर्सन ना इन दिस वर्ल्ड. So I'm getting so much sincere students over here. I don't know out of 54 how many, 55 now, how many are you actually listening to the lecture and actually going through the content which I'm sharing actually. So डेली कुछ ऐसा हो जाता है ना कि हम लोग सोचते रहते हैं. ठीक है, चलो कोई बात नहीं, अगर आ गया समझ में तो इट्स गुड. प्लीज मार्क योर अटेंडेंस इन द चैट बॉक्स. Okay. So those who have been marking their attendance, or who have marked their attendance and don't have any problem, then they may leave the sessions. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Bye and take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you.
मैम
Yes. Is that so? Hello, Soham. So, Soham. Hello. Soham. Hello.